Mr. President once said that politicians think of the next election while statesmen think of the next generation. At this point in time, if I were Mr. President, what would be on my mind? Would it be the announcement of my re-election bid that is possibly taking place today or the next generation? Well, he also has called for unity amongst presidential aspirants, unity and peace. That, if you agree with me, might also be thinking of the next generation. It's 2015 presidential election, Jonathan's call for unity, and I'm joined by the phenomenal Bola Oba. Thank you very much for finding time to join us again today.
Thank you very much for the opportunity once again. When I started taking it no and no, I don't know, but thanks.
It's all right. Today, history is made. That's the way the transformation ambassadors of Nigeria put it. As Goodluck, a visionary and dynamic leader, accedes to Nigeria's demand to run for a second term as president. And now we had a caller who was questioning the morality of having this particular occasion take place today, given the incident, the unfortunate incident in Potiskum yesterday. Would you agree that that is fair on Mr. President?
In the backdrop of what has been happening all over the all over the federation, the anarchy in some parts of the country, the chaos, the degeneracy of policy, strategy, vision in the polity. That we are where we are is a reality, but let's be very honest with ourselves. No serious-minded person in Nigeria, is going to be particularly happy at this juncture of our political life that we have characters. And I'm talking across the parties. I don't see any of the presidential hopefuls or any of the presidential candidates, including the incumbent president, that when I think about, gives me hope enough. As an entrepreneur in this society, that things will be dramatically, positively different from what we've had thus far in the next 4 years. That is Bola Oba. It's not the corporate editorial opinion of your station.
Obviously, because TAN already had been able to gather millions upon millions of signatures signaling the intent of Nigerians.
And if you know the circumstance through which they gathered some of those signatures, you will know that indeed they can sue me, Bola Oba. Some of the methodologies they used in gathering that signature was actually fraudulent. They made people believe that they were signing, in some instances, that they were signing up to getting a job online. And they have vested all their digital indications seeking a job, and they transmutated those things.
Do you have proof evidences of what
and people have been throwing it at them, and they've not been able to refute it. In some instances, they advertised job opportunities or enterprise empowerment opportunities.
It's all right. Let's move away from that because that's
it's the item. In some other jurisdictions, some of those people would have been fired by the aspirant or the candidate for whom they orchestrated such a fraud.
In your opinion, you are not seeing any aspirant that would
across the board.
But then,
that Nigeria, in our 54th year of existence, can be caught up in this political cul-de-sac of a Jonathan against a lightly Buhari, visionless. The only thing he has that he can parade is probably his integrity. Visionless, his antecedents is so sloppy. Wow. When Nigeria was about, at the same time, when Cairo was launching his metro system, and Lagos had a governor that was bathing the same thing for Nigeria. Even in the days of politics, and they convinced the federal government of Nigeria that was controlled by another party to sign up You know, as a sovereign guarantor for the project, the government of Buhari came into power and all it could do was to cancel it.
Well, but we'll have to tone down, you know, the language that we use on this platform.
Thank you
We'll
very much.
still want to go on with this discussion.
Okay.
But let us be objective and...
I'm working on facts.
Quite objective.
All these things are facts.
But then, how united do you think all these aspirants can be in the light of not heating up the polity as we count down to 2015?
Look, they will serve themselves well to know that there's no need to eat up the polity. Reason being, come to think of it, they are all beneficiaries of the prevailing malady. They are far more better beneficiaries than you and I anyway, than an average Nigerian. So they should know that it's incumbent on them not to overeat the polity and get their charade going on. You know, their political dances of the ridiculous. But the truth is, it is a very vacuous pronouncement to make. Presidential candidates should sign up to unity. What sort of unity? That they should not contest against themselves? Oh, that unity that the president has called for could have been demonstrated within his party when they issued only one nomination form to him, and others were indicating, and some members of his party were indicating interest in at least challenging him. Oh, unity could have been so spread within, not so much abroad then, spread within, that all the others could have been allowed. At least we know that it will at least defeat them. So that unity, that preachment to unity, what happened to it then is suddenly, if most tabi, there was no need for it.
It's all right. We're going to take your calls now, but we're just going to take a short break. And when we come back, we'll be able to have your opinion on all of these issues. Stick around. It's Core Digest Monday. Don't go away.
From time immemorial, women have shaped character and by extension influenced the society. Moremi of Ife, Emoten of Benin, Queen Aminat of Zaria, all women of influence and power.
Whether it's before election, after election.
How ironical, women being so powerful yet have few grounds in decision making.
I see you as a wife, and I see you as a wife to a man.
We are talking women in politics.
A woman will be bold enough to stand up and say, I want to become president of Nigeria.
Only on Core TV News.
Core TV News, expanding your view.
The deadly Ebola virus is again spreading in West Africa. The virus has fatality rates of up to 90%, meaning many who contract the disease die. A subcontinent have witnessed over 900 deaths. Please help prevent the spread of Ebola by observing the following precautions.
Monday, ahead 2015 general elections, we're looking at Mr. President's call for unity. Bola Oba is still very much here with me. Thank you for staying the course on the program today. Now, how much of quality of leadership would you think we have to offer, given the supposedly unguarded statements that we have heard from even aspirants in recent times. We've heard, indeed, the presidency come out loud on the opposition as being sponsors of terrorism. We've heard similar counter allegations also from the opposition. How do all of these play out?
The two parties have failed us in the area of having a strategic understanding of how to combat the menace of Boko Haram. The two parties actually, they failed us. I've functioned in some other jurisdictions before where I know that irrespective of partisan politics and the bickering of partisanship, when it comes to engaging a pronounced enemy like Boko Haram is to our body politic, it is actually incumbent. You know, I once gave an example here. I was a candidate of the Conservative Party in 1997 in the London Borough of Greenwich, St. Mary's Ward, and you see, just about the Labour Party just came in then. Tony Blair just won a couple of months before. And before the election, the party chieftains, the local party chieftains, called those of us who were candidates in the London Borough of Greenwich, they called us to the headquarters of the Conservative Party, of the local Conservative Party in Eltham, and indeed told us we could campaign on our differences with the new government on any topic or any agenda. But when it comes to at the door, you know, at the doorsteps, at the door mouth, or whatever you call it here, you know, when it comes to the issue of terrorism, we should just tell the voters or people that we're campaigning to that we are in full support of the decision of the national government on terrorism. That is how nations fight terrorism. You will, irrespective of your differences on bipartisan issues, you will coalesce forces, you know, not because the CNC is in the circumstance that is playing out, you know, a fantastic commander. Let's be very honest in ourselves. But you see, on some issues, you just want to line up behind the ostensible constitutional leader for the sake of national security.
Okay.
Let's take this call. Good morning, Olalekan, right?
The problem of insurgency in the country and the very clear declaration on what next to do for the country. But it seems we've been discouraging ourselves and listening ourselves. You know, what has right? There's an insurgency in this country, and we see how the presidency needs to want to be clear. And where are they telling all us? Let the government consider the challenge. It is an unfortunate situation. Honestly, any sane person, any sane individual that wants to solve, considering all the major problems with the president in this country. Somebody has said it on this line this morning, because the president is doing his best. But honestly, the president is not good enough for this country. And all we're not trying everybody to know is that, look, he's not the only person that wants capital of doing this thing. Let give others chance to try their effort. Maybe this problem might be solved. But as far as I'm concerned, this presidency has not fared better. As far as I'm concerned, I'm not saying this man has not done his best. In order.
Thank you, Olalekan, for your contribution from Ibadan. But, Boloba, do you think that insurgency should be the reason why a particular president should not continue in office? I mean, if he has plans, of course, some will believe that Mr. President still believes in his ingenuity, in his approach to solving this problem, and that's why he wants to continue.
The last time I was guesting here a couple of days ago, I told you that we are in a state of anarchy. In respectable jurisdictions, to be very honest with ourselves, look, 34 Americans were held as hostages in Tehran, and Carter lost his presidency. 34 Americans. 34 Americans, 3 and 4. I could count, you know. They were held as hostages in Tehran. And as a president, he even tried to get the Marines to go and rescue them. And Jimmy Carter lost his presidency. You want me to be giving you examples around the world where less than 100 people died, and people lose their presidential offices. But you know what? Nigeria is a peculiar nation. People don't resign here. The homestead of the Chief of Defense Staff, the most powerful uniformed officer in this realm, the coordinating strategic officer of our armed forces, his homestead was taken, and according to reports from the newspaper, indeed, his family house was used to hoist the Boko Haram flag, where a caliphate was declared.
But really, does that has anything to do with
my brother?
National security?
Nothing has anything to do
because
in Nigeria.
You heard him
my
say
brother,
that whether
it's Lagos or
Lagos, the fact that
and this was the chief of staff who had the temerity a couple of weeks before, less than 2 weeks before, to look into a camera and tell us that he had gotten a ceasefire with those people.
Let's take this call. We have Abdul Aziz. Good morning.
Yeah. Good morning, sir.
Yeah, morning. Go ahead.
Yeah, my name is Abdul Aziz. I'm from Ilori.
All right.
Yeah, I need to appreciate the presenter you bring on board today. Yeah, he has contributed immensely, and actually I'm also on the side of what he's saying. To be very candid, Mr. President has failed an average Nigerian. He has just said it. A lot of things are happening in the whole world. And presidents are resigning just because of minute things happening to citizens of the whole country. Mr. President, I hope Mr. President is here listening to the voice of Nigerians. We can't continue those of Nigerians like this. This happening is enough for this man to resign. But we politics with everything in Nigeria, including religion, the Bible and the Quran. Where in the Quran and the Bible, where people were asked to be killed and massacred mercilessly the way we have been done in this country. But where the problem lies is that the masses of this country have not taken their destiny into their hands. And of course, we are gradually going into this.
Abdul Aziz, I will allow you to go further.
Leaders in this country.
Thank you for your contribution. Now, there's no way I'm going to allow you to incite the public using this medium. I mean, I said it earlier, let's be objective in our contribution. But beyond all of this, Bolaoba, we were talking about the unity that exists between opposing political parties in Nigeria. I don't know if you have collected...
The unity that exists between opposing political parties in Nigeria. Doesn't that sound as an oxymoron in your mouth?
Just hold on, Bolaoba. I don't know if you've collected your permanent voters card. But there was also an uproar between the APC and the PDP, where the APC said the PDP is conniving.
I said the two. We have two. This issue. We have two parties that are consistently failing us. Look, the fact as we speak is that the experiment to give out permanent voters card to bona fide registrants on the INEC's electoral roll in Lagos, I'm not talking about any other state, in Lagos has been a calamitous failure. It is a major failure. Now, the parties have taken it upon themselves to be throwing brickbats at themselves. But if they are really intelligent, if the leaderships of the two parties are really intelligent, they should be cooperating on this one occasion to lambaste INEC. But typical Nigerian politician, everything is, like Dende and Rondo. You understand what I'm saying? They don't bring back and everything. Look, the truth is that the chairman, if the APC leadership was foolish, accusing PDP of conniving with INEC, the chairman of PDP Lagos State came on this thing and was trying to profile excuse for INEC's blatant failure.
We have Babangida online. I hope this is not the former head of state. Hello, Babangida. Good morning. Are you there?
Good morning, everybody.
Morning, brother.
Yeah, please, the statement I want to make here is going to be very brief and precise. I think our president lacked the full Boko Haram. That's my simplest explanation to the whole scenario. You know, it looks to me as if it's a drama, you know, something we see in a film. How can we be as big as Nigeria and we have a lot of qualified and professional soldiers just for our nation to be bastardized as we are now? Please, let us tell ourselves the truth. The president lacked political will to fight Boko Haram. He has all his service chiefs and whatever. If they cannot perform, let him fire them. He has all the security advisors and whatever. If they cannot serve him well, fire them and just put people that can do the job. Please, I'm begging in the name of God. Let him have the political will to fight this Boko Haram and get to the end of it. It's so simple to me. I'm not a soldier man, but I look at it as so simple and easy. It's a matter of giving command, giving targets. He should be able to give his soldiers targets. That this is what he wants them to achieve, and there should be time frame. There must be time frame.
All right.
We keep on saying that these people are tasteless. How can they be tasteless? People that are taking over towns.
I believe you made your point there, Babangida. Thank you very much for your contribution, calling all the way from Kaduna. Good to hear from you. Beyond all of this, of course, we agree that there is a level of immaturity being displayed in the number of unguarded statements that we've heard from political parties in Nigeria. But
you said it too.
How do we...
I'm aligning with you.
And please confirm that.
You want me to say it in a grammar that most
No, please don't. Please don't. But where exactly needs to be done? How far is Nigeria away from that matured political system that you participated with in the UK, and where we are right now? What needs to be done? What's the role of the electorate in all of this?
The role of the electorate, you see, the electorate is actually the victim of the Nigerian political circumstance as it is now. The Nigerian electorate is not only being shortchanged by the parties, the formal institutions that should ordinarily be competing for validation by the electorate, but the electorate has been so shortchanged that institutions of state are failing them. Look at what has happened in the last couple of days that we were supposed to, in Lagos, we were supposed to have had the PVC given out to the electors. It was a blatant failure. Virtually there's no... Look, to start with, 20 local government areas are constitutionally recognized by INEC. And in those 20 local government areas, initially 9 were said not to be partaking in the exercise. 11 supposedly were supposed to be done. And in all those 11 constitutionally recognized local government areas, I cannot see a particular area that INEC can walk toward and say, okay, we did it right, we got it right here. It was a grandiose failure.
Beyond all of that, Bola, the question now is, of course, the question of unity, and it's highly commendable, whether you like it or not, that Mr. President is calling for unity. But just before we go there,
I just said that they should make sure that the unity starts from his party. The son of the first Prime Minister of Nigeria had indicated interest in contesting against him in his party. One of the ex-wives of the late business mogul turned politician, Moshood Abiola, who said she wanted to contest against him. The idea of unity should first be demonstrated.
Does that in any way truncate the concept of unity?
No, it should. Do you want to be a preacher who preaches, follow what I say and not what
Just
I
a minute.
do?
Let's take this call. Good morning, Emmanuel. Are you there? Hello, Emmanuel.
Hello?
Please go ahead with the contribution.
Okay. Yes, I'm hearing you. Good morning.
Morning.
Okay.
Go ahead, please. I'm afraid we lost that. Emmanuel, please call back.
You just tell them that as soon as they've been acknowledged, they should just keep on
go ahead
talking.
with their contribution.
Forget
please.
about greetings and whatever. Just
as soon as you are acknowledged, please just go ahead with your contribution. But you see, of course, I understand your point of view as regards certain other people.
I don't have any point of view.
But
I'm only saying
don't
that
also forget,
whatever you preach, act it.
Well, I don't forget that the primary election that we had, is Emmanuel still there? Hello, are you there? Okay. We'll pick your call later. Please keep trying. The last primary election we had, we saw a situation where...
Which primary election?
In PDP, we saw Mr. President, we saw the former Vice President of Nigeria, Atiku Abubakar, as well as one female presidential aspirant. Okay. Can you remember that that particular female aspirant had only one vote?
She cast a vote for herself. Yeah.
And most of the people
what is wrong with that in democracy?
lined up behind Mr. President.
No
to vote.
problem.
Wouldn't you call that a level of unity?
That is
democracy?
Another drama of electoral accreditation and validation that should have been allowed to be reenacted now. It actually enriches the electoral personage of the president.
It's all right.
It should not be castrated.
Good morning, Larry. Are you there?
Good morning.
Go ahead with the contribution, please.
Hello.
Larry, we are with you. Go ahead, please.
Yes, hello. Good morning.
Morning.
Yes, sir, I want to make a contribution to what you are discussing.
Go ahead, please.
So I want to talk about this Boko Haram group. You know, the problem of Boko Haram is inconsistency and sincerity of the government. Believe me, anytime the government is working against a war and is losing the Asmayor is working against a war, fighting against any enemy in the country, and the administration of that country is losing. That means God is not in control of that government. Secondly, in the history, you go back to the history of the Bible, you will see any time a country wants to fight, God will tell them, do this. And there's a sin in that land. That means this administration, there's a sin here working. That's why they are losing. The president is telling the truth. One person cannot give a whole country a problem. When you are working and you are not getting a result, you should resign. That is just it. If America is working, the president in America is failing to secure his citizens, the people will ask him to resign.
Larry,
for more than 16 years now, we have been fighting to get a single life for this country. We are not getting it.
Well, Larry, good to hear from you. Thank you for your contribution. Don't you think all of this cry for resign are issues for the electorate to decide? Whether you...
In a democracy, it's actually better to let the electorate decide.
We cannot sit down here and assume that the calls we are receiving it's just a very little fraction of the numbers of Nigerians that we have. When we go to the poll, then we'll know who indeed Nigerians want to lead them.
My brother, in a normal democracy, it is better to let the electorate decide. But we are in a peculiar democratizing state in Nigeria where the electorate, as the electors are being daily asphyxiated existentially and indeed in getting the requisite instrumentation they need to do whatever may be their right opinion. You say nobody will vote in 2015 without PVC. And in Lagos now, distributing PVC. In Lagos, we know of Kano, we know of what other state? In those states, okay, Lagos and Kano are the two most populous states in Nigeria. the distribution of PVC have been a massive failure.
Well, that was...
So, how will the electorate decide?
Well, that was the experience we had over the weekend, but we must not
They
always
will
forget.
improve on it.
We must not always
I
forget
was
that.
on the same TV show. I was on the same TV show about 7 months ago with the resident electoral commissioner of Lagos State. Indeed, it was a peculiar TV show where we first had this first segment in English and the latter segment in Yoruba. And I was saying, as somebody who had seen it across the world, I was telling them that they were organizing to fail because they were not doing what they ought to do at the right time and given the right methodology. Look, presidential election, Senate, and House of Representatives is going to be on the 14th of February 2014. For 2015. 14th, Lovers Day, 14th February 2015. What is today's date? My brother, what is today's date?
11.
11th of November 11th of November 2014. Majority of the voters in Nigeria who have taken the time out to go and register, who have taken the time out to go and double check the credibility of how their registration was done. They have their names on the electoral roll, but they don't have the ultimate permit to approach the election booth.
We must not fail to also inform Nigerians that this process is a continuous one. Apart from
11th of November.
Apart from the PVC distribution process,
11th of November 2014.
Continuous voters registration exercise,
from 12,
which will hold between 12 and 18.
Tomorrow
apart from
in Lagos,
that, every registered Nigerian has the right to visit any of the INEC offices, which I believe is represented in all the 774
You better bring them here and not be sounding as their spokesperson.
No,
because it's you they'll be cutting. Bring them here.
We must not
you take your camera to their distance. But if you are standing confidently as a spokesperson,
we must be able to inform Nigerians and make them know that if you fail to receive your PVC,
you will have many more opportunities.
You can always go to the INEC office. Up until
like they've allowed in all other states where PVCs have been given out and people have been complaining, and in all those states they've sorted them, Abi.
But are you saying that people should not do all the best to ensure that the PVCs are collected?
People should try and engage the system, but those who are in charge of the system must not deliberately be orchestrating mischief.
Now you are balancing it.
To frustrate people, because look, you know what? You know what? It is not easy to tell your employer that you just... Yesterday, my messenger, my cleaner, she came to the executive suite and said, "Oga, I won't go collect election card." You know, I needed her because I was having guests. She would be the one that prepare coffee or whatever, but I had to let her go. But would I be ready to be doing that every day? My brother, why do we make things that are simple in some other jurisdictions very difficult? I have a temporary driver's license in my pocket. I know people, they tell me, "Bola, you don't need to come." They will just do this thing for you because your name is on the system. They can give me my driver's license. But I take the pain, wanting to know how my drivers and my other employees feel too, to go there and do it. It takes average of 3 days for you to take time off the employment to go and be waiting at FRSC's this thing in Nigeria to get a driver's license. And yet they will give you temporary driver's license, and that temporary driver's license is supposed to be for 2 months, and that license they will not give you a substantive one in 1 year. People are frustrating the system.
It's all right. Let's quickly take this call before we go on. Good morning, Mayowa.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning. Welcome to Call Digest. Go ahead with your contribution.
Hello, good morning.
Morning. Go ahead, Mayowa.
My name is Mayowa Karuna. I want to contribute to what you're saying on the TV.
All right.
Good morning. Okay, this president has failed us. Last 3 days ago, the Minister of Work came out and told you Nigeria that the government has constructed 3,000 roads in the whole country. Where did they construct those roads? In the whole country. Where did they construct those roads? From Lagos to Maiduguri is less than 2,000 kilometers. Why are they telling us lies? They are not telling us what's happening to all the refinery in Nigeria. They are not, no products. All the refineries in Nigeria, Warri, Port Harcourt, Kaduna, there is no product, they are not loading. And they are not telling us the truth.
It's all right. Maiwa, thank you for your contribution. Calling from Kaduna. Beyond all of this, Bola, it's obvious that the system is faulty.
You just said it now? Did you just say it?
What do you think can be done to put it right?
Oh, look, to be honest with you, that is one area where I will cut the president some slack. Because I see people now in Nigeria across the board, across the parties, across the tribes, across this thing, across religions. Once people get any form of official appointment now, they are just seeing it as an opportunity for rentierism, to make money.
Okay.
I'm telling you, if you employ somebody now as a gate man of the federal or state or local, in so much as it has any form of officialdom, just get money. He sees it as a fantastic opportunity to freeze people. The president is not the one that is everywhere freezing the people. Until we reorientate and change that culture, we are going nowhere fast.
Bola Oba is a political affairs analyst, political public affairs analyst. It fits perfectly into all those shoes.
And he's a phenomenon. He's a phenomenon.
Phenomenal public activist.
Phenomenal. In my presence, you are calling me a phenomenon.
Thank you very much for joining us on Call.
Thank you very much for the opportunity once again. I'm usually very grateful to your
a big thank you to all of our callers. We had Rashid from Mina, Sylvester from Jos, Mohammed from Mina, and Olalekan called us from Ibadan. Abdulaziz also called from Ilorin. We had Babangida from Kaduna, Larry from Lagos, Myra from Kaduna, and quite a number of others.
Fantastical. You took all those this thing.
Thank you very much for joining us today on Call Digest Tuesday. We'll be back tomorrow, God willing, with another exciting edition. On behalf of my producer, Emmanuel Ajayi, I am Nifemi Oguntoye. Stick around for the top of the hour news.
Core TV News, expanding your view.